This is Science in the AM, grade 9, and it's Team Gary. We're picking up where we left off. We've started our sexual reproduction unit, or portion of the unit. And in the textbook, we did this little variations in our class activity, where we just polled the class and figured out what we have. And it's just that there's some things that are dominant in a population, like hairline. Straight hairline's not a widow's peak. That's pretty easy. The hitchhiker's thumb is kind of rare and stuff like this. Tongue rolling. Most people can roll their tongue. Some people, it's just impossible. Can't do it. Attached earlobe is not as common as the hanging earlobe, right? Okay. We just did some of those things. Now, you might be saying, well, why? It's maybe a genetic thing. And, well, I'm going to just show you something. There's a way of organizing this called a Punnett square. And I want you to do this. Punnett squares. Draw this out and we'll explain what it is right away, okay? I'll pause the video while you draw this out. So a Punnett square is a way of organizing some genetic information in sexual reproduction, okay? And it makes it kind of simple. Now, I started with these X's and XY. Anybody have any idea what I'm talking about here? Because I haven't explained a single thing. You might not. You do, though. What do you think? Yeah, chromosomes. And I'm starting with the simplest thing here, I guess, but not the simplest thing, but it's something that's determined by chromosomes. And here's what I'm going to say here right now. That if this was a dad and this was a mom. Yes? Yes, in your notebook. Yeah. Okay. Because that little investigation, we will come back, talk a little bit about, well, no, we already talked. Okay. Just right after that investigation. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this. I put mom and I put dad on the side, mom on the top. Now, here's why. When it comes to the female parts and the male parts and stuff like this, if someone is to be born, let me back up. The father contributes genetic material to a child. The mother contributes genetic material to a child. And you have 23 chromosome pairs. That's 46 altogether. You got 23 of them from mom. You got 23 of them from the dad. From the egg, that's the mom. From the sperm, that's the dad. Okay? And then they come together and they pair up. Now, it's hard to look at all 23 at the same time. So we often just look at one characteristic at a time. And the first thing I'm going to take a look at here is we can organize this through someone contributing an egg cell, we call them. And genetically, that is an X and an X chromosome. Okay? That's the way that's determined. So, a sperm cell donor, often called a dad, is somebody who can donate an X or a Y chromosome, and that's how genetically coded someone who is the male, genetic male. That's the way that's coded. So this means the sex cells that they can donate to the new child, because I am a parent and I'm a dad or whatever, I could only donate one of each of those characteristics to my children. So I'll go with the dad. That means I could either donate an X or I could donate a Y, and you don't know. This is just, it's internal and stuff like this. I can't choose. I'm donating the Y today to the child, right? You can't do that. But by random chance, I can either donate an X or a Y. to the baby. The mom, as you can see though, has two X's, and that's what genetically codes. So the mom has to donate an X. So do you see that if my sperm cell donates an X and my children's mother donated an X, that would code for a girl. However, the sperm cell that me as a father, I send in a Y, the mother still has to donate an X. There's no choice because that's all the female has to do. Does that make sense? They have two X's. Now this can be repeated because what if I donate this X, I'm talking me as a parent, and my children's mother donated that X. So then that would be what we have there. And then once again, Y and an X. Now it doesn't matter that I put YX, but usually we say a male is XY. It doesn't matter the order. It's not important. It's the group. Do you guys see how that's organized in this pattern? So this would genetically. Genetically, this would code for a girl. Genetically, this would code for a baby that you would call a boy right off the bat. And we know that it's a 50-50 like coin flip, right? But it's the male sperm cell that actually decides the gender in a sense. And it's 50-50. The mom always donates an X. Okay? There's some rare exceptions we're not getting. But I just wanted you to see how this happens. Because some of those characteristics we've taken care of, or whatever, or taken care of, we looked at, some we can explain using this kind of simple genetics. There's more complex things and stuff like this. Like hair color is not so simple that it's just this characteristic or that characteristic. There's a whole range of things. Some of them are simple. So I'm going to take a look at tongue roll. I'll look past it. I'm going to tongue roll. We're going to take a look at what we coded for. Who are the people in the class yesterday who called that can't roll their tongue? Did you by chance ask anyone at your family the other day if they could roll their tongue, Mike or Alice? No? Okay. Oh, really? Yeah, I'll pause for a second. With tongue rolling, it is possible to have two parents that can tongue roll and you be born without the ability to tongue. How does that work? Sometimes Mike might have parents that can tongue roll, both. Mike might have parents that genetically can't tongue roll. Don't know. Might have one that can, one that can't. All kinds of things. Now Lucas, just because Lucas is up front, can tongue roll. He might have one parent that can't, but you will not have two parents that can genetically. You might have both parents that can. How does this work? Well, tongue rolling is a dominant characteristic. Here's how we can code this. And here I'm just putting, and I don't care if it's the mom or the dad of the small t's or the big T. Let's just decide though. What do we want to call big T, the mom or the dad? So just throw it out. I don't know. Mother. Mom, okay. I'm going to put mom on here. Huh? And we'll call this the dad. Okay? All right. Now I want to code these things on the side. If you have big T, we'll say your tongue. If you have big T, little t, They'll have the ability to tongue roll. If you have small t, you can't. Now, let's say that you have a mom that tongue rolls, and for somehow we know the genetic. You don't know for sure. You say somebody can tongue roll. This is most of you. You might be this tongue roller or this big T, little t, the genetics. There's no way of telling unless you have children, though, and then maybe some of them can't, some of them can't. But that's, you might never know, and that's not that important what you do, okay? But let's just see what can happen here. In this particular case, the only thing mom can donate is a big T. I'm going to say, okay, big T for this. Now combine with a little t from dad. Big T for this, little t from dad. Vice versa. You see how this is organized, right? Fairly simple. Now, if you had a mom and a dad in this situation, it could have been reversed. Dad could be at the top, mom could be. You notice that every one of those kids, 100% of them, there's no chance they would have no tongue rolls with this. Or like no tongue. The people that can't roll tongues, right? Genetically. Does that make sense? Because they're all big, little. As long as a big appears, it's a go, right? Double checking something. Okay, yeah. Everybody cool with that? Like, that's how that works. So, what about this? How do we get some variation? This is why, though, you see more of this. What if you have, and you, like I said, you don't know if mom is a big T, or a big T, little t. What if mom's a tongue roller? Say, I'll call this mom again. And this is dad. Okay? We know dad can't tongue roll. What happens here is that mom could donate a big T. Oh, wrong thing. There we go. Mom could donate a big T. Dad would donate a little T. Big T, little T. This. But mom could also donate the little T. And in this case, what is the scenario for children? You might have some children 50-50 chance. Some could tongue roll, some can't. Right? I'm going to just put underneath here, or maybe on this one here first. In this scenario here, 100% tongue roll. There are children there, 100%. Okay. So the other one, though, do you see? You can, because there's a big T. I'm going to say you can't, and I'm referring to tongue. You can. So there's 50% chance can roll tongues, 50% chance you can't roll. Now, here's the thing. Does this guarantee that if a couple, a mom and a dad, if I was the dad in this lower box, this was the mom. This was my scenario. And I have 3 children. all three of my children can tongue roll. Does that guarantee that the mom is big T, big T? No, because this is just probability, right? You would only know that the mother is big T, little t if you eventually had one child that can't. Right? But that doesn't guarantee that even on 8 children or 10 children that you're going to get one of them. Yeah. Each time it's like flipping a coin. It's 50-50. Is it possible to flip a coin, get a head, flip a coin again and get a head, and get 5 heads in a row? Is it possible? It is possible. It's not likely, but if you had 5 children and nobody tongue rolled, it's probably more likely that you're big T with one parent, right? But it doesn't guarantee it. I'm just showing you this because this is how we get variation. If you're interested in this, this is why you might want to study biology and health science in grade 11 and grade 12, okay? Because you get into this more. And it's kind of mathematical, but it's not crazy mathematical. There is math in biology, though, just so you know. Now, going back, and I'm going to flip back for a second. These characteristics here are genetically determined and so on. So I thought I'd throw these out here, but I just wanted to explain with just one. There's genetic reasons for these things. And usually there'll be somebody else in your family that's sharing your characteristics. There's variation through a family and everything too. So maybe you might want to ask about tongue rolling, especially if you're the person who can't tongue roll and figure it out. Okay. Now, you're going to jot some things down and then we're going to use the textbook. Okay? So there's something called meiosis. We talked about mitosis. Well, we're going to talk about something called meiosis, and it's related. So put down page 29, meiosis, and we're going to jot a few things down before we get too far in your notebook. Okay? Okay, so the first thing you're going to jot down, yeah, you know where it is. The word gametes, and we read this the other day, but I didn't have you copy it out, so now I am. Gametes are the sex cells used in reproduction. The female gamete is the egg or ova. And you might be familiar with the word ovulate. That's to monthly release an egg, and then when that cycle is done, the body flushes it out in a sense. That's called the menstruation. That's menstruation, right? Menstrual cycle. So a genetic female will typically release an egg once a month, well, every 4 weeks. Okay? Whereas the males don't have a monthly cycle. The sperm cells are the genetic gamete, whatever that comes out. And these are formed through meiosis, not mitosis. It's a different type of cell division. Now, taking it slow so that you write these things down. Why don't you move so you can see better? Gamete. Okay? You don't have to sit there, you know that. So, you know how I was saying that in reproduction, you only want everybody has, like I have 23 pairs of chromosomes, right? But I only want to pass on 1 out of each pair to my children. Otherwise, we'd have a messed up situation. We'd have, well, you have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs, right? But if you passed on 2, your children and the mother passed on 2, or vice versa, each parent passed on 46, you'd be up to 92 that. And then the next child would go up and go up and go. That doesn't work, right? So we need cell division that produces only half the regular number of chromosomes. Mitosis produces an identical copy. We want something with half the regular number. We already use this word haploid cells, but it's half. Haploid is half. So this is why we have something called meiosis. It's very similar to mitosis. It uses the same words. First stage is prophase, then metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Except that it does it twice so that it cuts it down to half the regular number. Okay? And I think you're aware of this word, fertilization. When a sperm and an egg cell unite, it's called fertilization. Right? But this isn't just for humans. Mammals work this way. And it's not just mammals. Fish can work this way. Now, there's some exceptions. We saw some asexual reproduction examples with insects, and we saw some asexual reproduction examples with reptiles, too. But in general, sexual reproduction, you have a sperm and an egg cell uniting. That's fertilization, okay? Some smaller organisms we don't even think of as male or female, though, too. So when I say smaller, some non-mammal organisms, I guess. Now here's something I already mentioned. Meiosis, not mitosis, it's a similar word because it's a similar process, is the process that forms these gametes, the eggs or the sperm. Meiosis forms gamete cells with half the regular chromosome number. Mitosis is the exact same number. We call that the haploid number of chromosomes. I added that in blue. Now we're going to take a look at something. This is why I ask people to have the textbook up. I'm going to pause this while I get my textbook up and ready. Okay, so we've gotten this down. I'm going to take a look. You don't have to crack your textbook because I'm going to read through it with you as a group. Hello, you're going to get that last little bit? Okay. Shane, you good on this? Oh, no, Stelio could look off of you, and I just noticed that phone up. That's not cool. Okay, meiosis. So, like I said, you don't have to crack your textbook. I got it. I'm going to read through it, and you guys are going to pay attention. It's going to be a repeat of some of the stuff we saw. But meiosis. Gametes, sex cells, are produced through a cell division called meiosis. In meiosis, the parent cell goes through interphase, during which chromosomes are duplicated. Sounds like the start of mitosis, eh? In the first division of meiosis, the chromosomes pair up, very similar to mitosis. We're just reading, remember? We got stuff down there. Okay. The first division of meiosis, chromosomes pair up. Only one of each pair goes to each daughter cell. As a result, each cell has only half the number of chromosomes as the parent cell. In the second division of meiosis, those daughter cells each divide once more without duplicating. So it's like mitosis happens, kind of, and then it's like mitosis happens a second time, but without the duplication portion. That's important because the result is 4 daughter cells, each with half the regular number of chromosomes. Now here's a diagram. Mitosis, which we know. Just like us with our diagram here, it starts out chromosome, duplicate. Okay. Then they line up on the middle, right? They separate, go into the half. So this was metaphase, anaphase. They start going, and you got 2. That is mitosis. That's what we're familiar with. Well, look at this, meiosis here. Okay, it starts out the same. Looks pretty much the same here in prophase. Then they separate. Okay, you got this going on here. But then it does a cell division again without any duplication. You're having a hard time, aren't you? Okay. Now I'm going to bring this up. Oh. So, anyways, then that cell division happens again. You notice that this ends off with, compared to the mitosis results, half the regular number, right? Okay, that's good because we want half the regular number for reproduction reasons because the child will get the other half from the other parent. And that's where you get all the variations. Okay? So, sexual reproduction in animals. Now some words. Most animal species, from dragonflies to salmon to bears to humans, reproduce sexually. Right down below it says here. Take a look. We'll read first though. The joining of two gametes creates a new cell known as a zygote. The zygote has a full set of chromosomes and is the first cell of a new individual. The zygote then divides into two cells, beginning the process of cleavage, cutting. The new multicellular life form is referred to as an embryo and develops through continued mitosis. Okay? So after that sex cell, once you were created by one sperm and one egg, creating a zygote, once you were doing, the rest was mitosis. Okay? So just take a look at this diagram here. The male gamete, the sperm cell, comes in, meets the egg cell. Hello. Okay, goes in there. Fertilization occurs when the sperm cell penetrates an egg cell. Typically, an egg cell will be surrounded by a ton of sperm cells, and you saw that on the picture the other day. The first, only one makes it through. The result is this fertilized egg we call a zygote. Okay? That zygote then has all the genetic information to form you. So it cuts in half, it creates 2, then it creates 4, then it creates 8, then it creates 16, 32 cells by cutting each one in half, right? Stuff like this. Over time, you grew, and it took you 9 months till you were born, right? In ballpark. Some people born a little early, some people born a week or 2 later. But that's the whole process, right? Cell division continues. Eventually, it starts looking like a little mini you, stuff like this, a little baby, right? You've seen pictures of ultrasound pictures and stuff like this, the babies. So that's what's going on, okay? We're not getting into that in great detail, but we are talking about the cell division. It keeps telling me there's an error here. Depending on the species, the development of the embryo may occur inside the female parent. That's what happens with most mammals, or outside in an egg, which happens in other types of animals. So, you guys remember the start of Finding Nemo? Yep. And this is before Nemo was born, right? There was a whole bunch of egg cells, right? That's external fertilization. What happens is then the male fish sort of swims over and sperm is just released, it hits some of the egg cells. Well, in that, the eggs, didn't all the eggs get washed away but the one that developed into Nemo? Isn't that how it happened? And I'm sorry if you don't know the movie there, right? Oh, it's something ate the eggs, right? Sharks ate the eggs, except for one, right? So that's an example, though, fish, of externally developed. And I bring that up because it's still a popular movie. Pretty soon, the next generation of kids won't all be familiar, or as many be familiar with Finding Nemo, because that's about a 20-year-old movie. Anyway. Not 20?
Oh no, it's like it's funny.
Okay, somebody has permission right now. Google it up. What is it?
No, it was just like 2002, so it's like 20.
Yeah? Okay, he said 2002.
2003.
2003. Oh, 20 years old this year. Anyways, in the ballpark. Okay, I'm old. Okay. I remember these things. Before you were born, it was. Anyways, that's all.
2003.
20 years ago. So all I'm saying is that pretty soon I won't be able to use that example. And well, already there's probably some people. Anybody hasn't seen Finding Nemo, the movie? Yeah, he's the.
I had no clue.
He's in the dentist office.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get back to this though. All I'm talking about Finding Nemo for is just the opening scene with the. The new individual will show some of the traits of its female parent and some of the other parent, the male. Although the new individual may resemble one parent more than the other, it will not be identical to either parent. Sometimes, though, just by random chance, you have siblings and stuff. You might look more like a mom, even though you're male or something like this. Your sibling may look more like the other. But you still have 50% of your genetics from each parent. Just some things are more, maybe the shape of your nose or something like this, facial structure resembles one parent more than the other. So we tend to say that that's, you look, oh, a dead ringer for dad or something. Okay. Critical role of meiosis in sexual reproduction. During sexual reproduction, the male and female gametes unite to form a zygote, which then develops into a new individual. Gametes are haploid, half the normal chromosome number, and that's why we wrote that. Yeah, half the normal. Okay. If the sex cells contain the same number of chromosomes as every other cell, that is, if the gametes were diploid, the coupled number, then the zygote would inherit twice as many chromosomes as it needs. An incorrect number of chromosomes can cause problems with normal cell function and growth. That just doesn't happen very often. Now, hermaphrodites. Most animals, by the way, that's from a Greek legend, I think, or is it the Roman one, but hermaphroditos and stuff like this. Anyways, the name. Most animals have distinct sexes. Individuals are either male or female. Some animals, however, are hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites can produce both male and female gametes. Common garden worms and slugs are examples of hermaphrodites. Although hermaphrodites usually mate with other individuals of their species, in times of environmental stress, members of some species can fertilize themselves because they produce both male and female. However, there'd be no real genetic variation, like extreme. Sequential hermaphrodites are species that are born as one sex but then become the opposite sex. One example is the clownfish. This is why I'm bringing this up. Clownfish are popularized in one movie? Finding Nemo fish, yeah. Clownfish travel in packs that consist of large reproductive females and smaller reproductive males, and numerous smaller non-reproductive males. If the female dies or leaves, the reproductive male becomes a female, and the largest of the non-reproductive males becomes a new reproductive male. So they just sort of carry it on. It's a totally different system than us.
So what would have happened if Finding became a female? And then
yeah, let's not use Finding Nemo as a documentary about the way genetics work. Yeah. It's easy to tell which of the clownfish is female. It's the larger size. Okay? So there you go with that. Big mama. Yes. Hey, listen. I can't hear. Seahorses are also like that, too. They develop into... Okay. Now, plants also... We're not going to get into this right now. I'm going to flip back to our... We've read this. And read page 29 through 30. Check. We've done that. Do questions 2 through 4 on page 30. So I'm going to just point out 2 through 4. This is page 30. We've read this, and I'm going to just quickly talk about this. What's a gamete and how it's formed? Well, that's already written down in our notes. That's why I'm not having you do this. A gamete is a sex cell used for reproduction. It's formed through meiosis. So that's why I'm skipping question 1. We have it down. But then, zygote. And these are kind of repetitive. What's similar about sperm and egg cells? What's different? Okay? Similar is that they're half the normal chromosome number. That's a haploid cell. What's different is that one will be designated as a sperm and one will be designated as an egg because it's a male source and it's a female source. If it's an animal with that kind of. Oh, bump this. And then 4, list the steps of fertilization and embryo development in animal sexual reproduction. Use words like gametes and zygote in your description. I'm expecting more than a small sentence answer for 4. And where do you get that information? Oh, just refer to this stuff, right? So questions 2 through 4 are being done right now. You got 12 minutes. I'm going to stop the video. You got time to do this, okay?